Okay, this is my PowerPoint on evidence-based practices. What are evidence-based practices? An evidence-based practice can be defined as an instructional strategy, intervention, or teaching program that has resulted in consistent positive results when experimentally tested. The implementation of high-quality research is needed in order for strategies to be considered evidence-based. So, evidence-based practices. They should include reviews of the practices that are specific to an outcome area and learner population. Reviews should set clear parameters on a targeted outcome in a targeted learner population. So an example would be that the targeted outcome would be on reading comprehension, and the targeted learner population could be children with developmental delays. They should also include they should be specific to a particular setting or type of interventionist. So this could be something that's specific to something such as a special education classroom or a public school. And the type of interventionist could be a paraprofessional or a special education teacher. The criteria. Research should incorporate experimental, quasi-experimental, or single subject research designs. It should be replicated many times. It should be published in peer-reviewed professional journals. It does not include evidence supported by anecdotal reports, case studies, and publication in non-refereed journals, magazines, and other news outlets. So, questions to ask when you're trying to figure out if something is an evidence-based strategy, if it's an evidence-based article. You can look at these different questions to help you determine. Has research been conducted to evaluate the specific treatment or strategy? Has that research been published? Does the strategy include an assessment of the individual student's current performance, followed by implementation of a strategy to improve that performance? Does the intervention include requirements for data collection and ongoing monitoring of student progress? What are the measurable outcomes of implementing this strategy? What are the specific benefits and limitations of using this strategy? Do the benefits outweigh the limitations? So these are all things that you can consider when looking at something that is claimed to be an evidence-based strategy. Quality indicators. A quality indicator checklist can be used when determining the quality of the information being presented to you. The Council for Exceptional Children shared a quality indicator checklist that includes different topics. Now, the checklist was very long and included a lot of different things, so I chose 2 different pieces off of their checklist to share with you to give you an example of what it looks like. One of their sections talked about participants. It says that the study provides sufficient information to identify the population of participants to which results may be generalized and to determine or confirm whether the participants demonstrated the disability or difficulty of focus. And then the subcategories under that were that the study describes participant demographics relevant to the review. So does it give the gender, age, grade, race, ethnicity, socioeconomic status, language status, anything like that? Does the study describe disability or risk status of the participants? As in, do they have a specific learning disability? Is it autism spectrum disorder, a behavior problem? And does it give a method for determining the status? Is it identified by the school using the state IDEA criteria? Is it a teacher nomination, a standardized intelligence test? All those things are things to look for within the article or study that you're looking at. Another category that they had was implementation fidelity. The practice is implemented with fidelity. And the subcategory was that the study assesses and reports implementation fidelity related to adherence using direct, reliable measures. So that could include observations with a checklist. Identifying and implementing evidence-based practices. The following are steps that can be followed in order to incorporate evidence-based practices. You could conduct an assessment of the student's current skills to create measurable goals. You would then identify evidence-based teaching strategies to address the objectives. Once an effective strategy has been identified, ensure that all members of the educational team who are involved with the skill are trained properly. That's big, because if you're going to implement a strategy that requires training, but all of the educational team hasn't been trained, then that strategy will not be implemented properly. So you need to make sure that everybody that works with that child has been trained. It is important to use assessments to determine if the strategy or program is having a positive effect on the student's learning so that adjustments can be made. That is really important as well, the data collection and making sure that you are moving in a positive direction with the student's learning. You don't want to be implementing a strategy that is not having a positive effect on the student. The relationship with students with disabilities. If teachers are held accountable with ensuring that they are implementing evidence-based practices and strategies in the classroom, then they should see an increase in the rate of success of students with disabilities. With the implementation of these types of strategies, special education teachers will be better able to meet the diverse needs of their students. The impact on graduation rates. When teachers use evidence-based practices with fidelity, they can be confident that their teaching will support student learning. With this, there should be an increase in the graduation rates as more students are receiving effective teaching. The reasons to address this issue. Teachers have diverse needs that need to be met in their classrooms. Implementing strategies with limited research can be misleading and confusing. Reliance on untested methods and dependence on strategies that have limited evidence have resulted in unrealistic and unreasonable expectations for students. Strategies that are supported by research are often not put into practice in the classroom. So all these are reasons that teachers, administrators need to address the goal of having evidence-based practices in the classrooms. The implications for leaders. It is important for teachers and administrators to be knowledgeable about evidence-based approaches to adequately address student needs. Leaders should be educating teachers about the importance of evidence-based practices in the classroom, as well as how to determine if a strategy is evidence-based or not.